Well, hello again, everybody. Welcome back to The Huddle, the Review.com's weekly high school sports show. I'm Executive Editor Rob Toder of the Alliance Review, joined as always by Mike Brown, our sports editor. And Mike, it's the first weekend of the NBC season. The first 3 weeks have gone kind of well for some teams and a little struggle for some others. But really, probably the best game on paper this week is the Arlington Dukes and the Carrollton Warriors.
Right, and Arlington, I tell you what, I really like Garrett Floyd. In my opinion, I think he's the best football player in the NBC. I mean, he's their place kicker, he's their kicker, he's their punter, he's this great receiver, and he just accounts for so many points for them. He's so valuable for them. And obviously with a great quarterback too, Arlington has gotten out the gate well.
Yeah, a couple nice wins for the Dukes over Crestwood and St. Thomas last week, and I think that win over St. Thomas opened some eyes maybe that the Dukes are not in a rebuilding mode.
Right, and I think the thing that's really tipped the scales in their favor, Rob, is they've got some, they're not overly big on their lines, but they have got some very efficient offensive and defensive linemen who have really played well in their first 3 games.
Okay, the preseason favorite in the NBC, the Louisville Leopards, coming off a loss to Austintown Fitch, a big Division I school. Louisville giving up 3 defensive touchdowns in that game, kind of tipped the scales there. And they are going to come to Mount Union on Friday night to face the Alliance Aviators, who are looking for their first win.
Right, and again, that'll be a tall task for Alliance. You know, Alliance has great skill, but it just hasn't happened yet. They're young on the lines, and hopefully that's going to be a maturation process that will happen sometime through the year. But boy, they're going to have a tiger by the tail come Friday night in Louisville, because Louisville can put up a lot of points.
Yeah, Alliance, well, you talk about a tough non-conference schedule. Barberton is 3-0
right.
With a great running back and a big experienced offensive line. Crestview with a really good running back and a big experienced offensive line. And the Aviators are struggling a little bit with some injuries, which is exacerbating that youth.
Yeah, it sure is. But you know, sooner or later, Alliance has too much skill not to be good. I do think sooner or later they'll turn it around, but it's just going to be, you know, this week, that's a tall task, like I said, with Louisville, because Louisville's the odds-on favorite to win it all again. I don't see them losing a league game this year. Yeah.
Now, also in the NBC this week, West Branch plays their first home game of the year after 3 road tests. And they went 2-1, and they'll face Minerva, who's coming off a big loss to Kansas Central Catholic. And the Lions are struggling a little bit as well. And West Branch may be gaining a little momentum.
Right, yeah. I was looking this up. I think West Branch is off to one of its best starts in a number of years. I mean, they're 2-1 right now. They would be a favorite against Minerva Friday night, and that's also Hall of Fame night at West Branch. Their Hall of Fame ceremonies will start at 6:35 on Friday night with the induction there.
Salem is 3-0. A couple of wins over ITCL schools, Mineral Ridge and United. A big win over their longtime rival, East Liverpool, last week, and they'll play host to Kansas South. So even though Kansas South is 1-2, they're probably the best team Salem's faced at this point. We'll see how good Salem is with that 3-0 record.
I'll tell you what, Salem's scoring a lot of points, and they're throwing the ball all over the yard very well. Weingart's doing a good job at quarterback for the Quakers.
Okay. Sebring off to an 0-3 start. And again, you talk about a tough opening 3 weeks in the season. The Trojans have faced 3 really good football teams, and it doesn't get any easier this week because Columbiana, who can score some points, is coming to town.
Right, and the Clippers have a nice offense, and you know, Scott Springer does a good job with Sebring. I realize they're fighting a numbers problem this year. They don't have the great numbers, and they lost a lot of skill from last year's team. But you know, I know they'll stay the course, and he's a great coach. The kids respect him, and I think they'll get better as the season goes on.
Okay, also in the league or in the area this week, Southeast goes to Dover. That's going to be a tough matchup for the Pirates. Waterloo plays host to Newberry. Those are our 2 Portage Trail Conference schools. Also in the ITCL, United at Southern, and Western Reserve is hosting Springfield. Western Reserve off to a 1-2 start. We haven't said that in a long time.
How about that? And you know, they would be considered a slight underdog against Springfield local again this week, Rob. So my goodness, when's the last time, you know, if that would happen, they'd be off to a 1-3 start. I can't remember the last time that's happened. Hopefully it won't for them, but they would be considered an underdog, a slight underdog in that game, in my opinion.
And a special Thursday night game, St. Thomas Aquinas and Kansas Central Catholic. Those 2 schools have a mutual dislike for each other. That's one of the great rivalries in Stark County.
That really is, and I think, you know, from what I've seen on actually high school lines, that's a close line on that game. I think Central's favored by 3 points, and you know, when those 2 get together,
entertainment purposes.
That's right. There you go. That should be a great ball game, and it always is when those 2 get together.
Yeah, absolutely. So make sure you check out the Alliance Review all week. We'll have previews on almost all the games. We'll have coverage of those games, the St. Thomas Central Catholic game in Friday's newspaper. We'll have Mike Keating will be tweeting from that game as well. We'll have live updates on Twitter and Facebook, so make sure you check it out. And also, if you get a chance, play Pigskin Picks. You can win some great prizes through the Alliance Review advertising. So for Mike Brown, this is Rob Toder. We'll see you at the stadium on Friday night.